So you probably won't be surprised to learn I have a long list of actresses I would love to see win an Oscar someday. At the top are Glenn Close with 8 nominations and Amy Adams with 6, 2 wonderful artists I made Elusive Oscar videos about last year. There's Michelle Williams with 5 nods, Michelle Pfeiffer with 3. These are all tremendous talents that with the right project, the right director, the right role, could finally do it, could stand up on that stage and hold their much overdue Academy Award. Something also important to an Oscar win is good timing. Getting nominated in a year where your category doesn't have an obvious frontrunner you'll never be able to beat. Sandra Bullock is a great example of perfect timing when it came to her Academy Award win for The Blind Side. If she was nominated the year before, she loses to Kate Winslet for The Reader 100%. Nominated a year later, she loses to Natalie Portman for Black Swan. Because The Blind Side opened in 2009 instead of 2008 or 2010, Bullock was able to coast to a Best Actress Oscar victory, which seemed to surprise even her.
Did I really earn this, or did I just wear y'all down?
But for many actors, sadly, good timing is not on their side, their nominations always arriving in a year where someone else is the chosen one. It's been the case pretty much every time for Amy Adams, and it's been the case for another immensely gifted actor, someone who actually did go up against Natalie Portman the year of Black Swan, and was never going to come out on top, someone who has been nominated for an Oscar 4 times to date, someone who's been giving one beautiful, daring, mesmerizing performance after another for decades, going all the way back to the 1980s, someone who still, in 2023, has never received an Academy Award. I'm talking, of course, about the spectacular Annette Bening, one of my all-time favorites. She's been in so many great movies: The Grifters, Bugsy, The American President, American Beauty, The Kids Are All Right, 20th Century Women. She's always challenging herself, trying new genres. She plays lead roles and supporting roles. She'll do big studio blockbusters and quiet little indies. Her 4 well-deserved Oscar nominations are all-timers, but astonishingly, she's only come close to a victory for one of them. How is this possible? Why has one of the greatest actors of her generation not been victorious at the Oscars? And what are some other amazing performances she's given throughout the years that ultimately went overlooked, but should have been recognized by the Academy? Hi, I'm Brian Rowe. This is the Awards Contender, and in today's video, we're talking the extraordinary career of the one and only Annette Bening, and why she still has never won that extremely elusive Oscar. To start, let's go back to the beginning. Annette Carol Bening was born in Topeka, Kansas to Mother Shirley and Father Arnett. During elementary school, her father relocated the family to San Diego. She went to Patrick Henry High School, where she studied drama, and graduated from San Diego Mesa College with a degree in theater arts. In the early to mid-1980s, Bening worked on stage, appearing in productions like The Cherry Orchard and Macbeth, and she made her Broadway debut in 1987 in Coastal Disturbances, which earned Bening her first Tony Award nomination for Best Featured Actress in a Play. Her debut performance on camera was in the 1986 TV movie Manhunt for Claude Dallas, and her first role in a theatrical feature film was in the 1988 comedy The Great Outdoors, starring John Candy and Dan Aykroyd.
I think they're trying to say that we're not welcome.
Aha! What did I hear? We've got a bingo! You did figure it out, Kate!
Her mini breakthrough as a film actress came in the 1989 historical drama Valmont. She had a small role in 1990's Postcards from the Edge opposite Meryl Streep, but her giant breakthrough that same year was absolutely The Grifters, starring Angelica Houston and John Cusack, and directed by Stephen Frears. The crime thriller tells of a con man with torn loyalties between his mother and new girlfriend, both of whom are high-stakes grifters.
I had 10 good years with Cole, and I want him back. I gotta have a partner.
Oftentimes an actor just needs one juicy part in a movie for their career to skyrocket, and this was that part for Annette Bening, her performance critically acclaimed, winning Best Supporting Actress from the National Society of Film Critics. She sparks with intensity, sexuality, and originality all throughout this absurdly entertaining movie. With an awards-friendly release date of December 1990 and very strong reviews, The Grifters was primed to do well during, as Jamie Lee Curtis likes to put it,
the season of shiny things.
Strangely, Bening was snubbed at the Golden Globe Awards, only Houston recognized there for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. This was before Critics' Choice and SAG, so without many precursor ceremonies, the Bening snubs might have continued, but then there it was, a Best Supporting Actress nomination for Annette Bening at the Academy Awards. The Grifters received 4 Oscar nominations total, Supporting Actress for Bening, actress for Houston, director for Stephen Frears, an adapted screenplay for Donald E. Westlake, a good, if not remarkable showing for the movie. What were Bening's chances that first time around? She was such a new face on the scene, you'd think she would have jumped headfirst into campaign mode and get the word out about her performance, but in a 2020 Zoom interview with Ben Mankiewicz, Bening stated the opposite took place.
Well, you know, the best part of that then was that there actually was no campaigning. And I'm really lucky because I had that experience. I mean, that word wasn't even used because it would have been too embarrassing and it would have been so frowned on. But actually, it wasn't even a conversation. That wasn't even a, should you or should you not campaign. It was just that, from my point of view, maybe it was because I was just starting, but that was before that.
It's such an interesting perspective. Like, there was a time when actors weren't campaigning for months during Oscar season. Sometimes it really was just about the quality of the work. So back to the Best Supporting Actress race at the 63rd Academy Awards. Bening was up against Lorraine Bracco for Goodfellas, Diane Ladd for Wild at Heart, Mary McDonnell for Dances with Wolves, and Whoopi Goldberg for Ghost. I believe Bening was probably in 4th place on her first Oscars go-around, ahead of only Diane Ladd. That Ladd nomination is a great one, her bizarre and courageous turn in David Lynch's film such fun to watch, but with that being Wild at Heart's only nomination, her chances were zilch. Lorraine Bracco, Mary McDonnell, and Whoopi Goldberg were likely ahead of Bening because all 3 of those women got in at the Golden Globes, and their films received Oscar nominations for Best Picture. The Grifters missing in pictures showed enthusiasm for the movie from Academy members wasn't overwhelming, and there was the thinking, I would guess, Bening was young enough that they could reward her on her next nomination. Also, to put it bluntly, this was Whoopi Goldberg's moment. After winning the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama for The Color Purple, she lost the Oscar to Geraldine Page, who finally won on her 8th nomination for The Trip to Bountiful. Goldberg transitioned to mostly comedic performances the next few years, and none was as beloved as her hilarious turn in Ghost, one of 1990's biggest blockbusters that managed an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. Goldberg won Best Supporting Actress at the Golden Globes and at BAFTA, and by Oscars night, she was way out in the lead, and I don't think anyone in the category could have stopped her, but Goldberg ended up doing a very nice thing for Bening and the other Supporting Actress nominees, as Bening discussed on both Graham Norton and The Late Late Show.
The first time I was nominated was 26 years ago, and the 5 of us who were nominated got together in the audience before the show went on the air, and we all agreed secretly, just amongst us, that we would have dinner the next week and whoever won would pay.
So Whoopi Goldberg won. And I was working at the time. The next day, in my trailer, I received a beautiful bouquet of flowers and a card that said, show up at such and such a place next week at this time, and we're all going to have dinner.
We all met, and Whoopi gave us each a gardenia and a chocolate Oscar.
Oh. So, look at it this way. If you lose, Andrew, there might be a free dinner in it.
The Grifters ended up taking home no gold trophies on March 25th, 1991. Best Adapted Screenplay going to Michael Blake for Dances with Wolves, Best Director going to Kevin Costner for Dances with Wolves, and Best Actress going to Kathy Bates for her amazing all-timer performance in Misery, a role, by the way, Angelica Houston turned down to do The Grifters, as she talked about with Andy Cohen.
Yeah, that is true.
Really?
I did turn down that part, but it was because I fell in love with the Grifters and wanted to do it passionately.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What a great part.
She won the Academy Award, though,
and she won
for
the
Misery.
Oscar that year.
For what movie?
For Misery.
Oh, for Misery.
And were you nominated for the Grifters against her?
I was nominated against her, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Annette Bening may have lost as well at the 1991 Oscars, but this was clearly just the beginning of what was going to be an astonishing career. Her Oscar win was coming, probably in the next few years, right? In 1991, there was no slowing down, Bening appearing in Guilty by Suspicion opposite Robert De Niro, Regarding Henry opposite Harrison Ford, and Bugsy opposite Warren Beatty, 3 of the biggest movie stars in the world, and she worked with all 3 of them in a single year. Not too shabby. Her best role in the 3 films was in Bugsy, a film significant for many reasons. It was her largest, most three-dimensional role in a movie thus far, and it's the project that introduced her to her future husband and father of her 4 children, Warren Beatty. Bugsy, released at the end of December 1991, tells the real-life story of American mobster Bugsy Siegel and his relationship with the starlet Virginia Hill.
But don't try playing these sulky little games with me. What we share should be goddamn good enough, and if it isn't, then we should call it quits right here.
Bening built on what she accomplished in The Grifters by delivering another powerful performance, one that was singled out by critics and award voters, and had a good chance of giving Bening Oscar nomination number 2. She received her first Golden Globe Award nomination for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, Jodie Foster winning the trophy for The Silence of the Lambs. Bening was nominated at BAFTA a few weeks later, not for Bugsy, mind you, but for The Grifters, which wasn't released overseas until 1991, and then on Oscar nominations morning, Bugsy did extremely well, including Best Supporting Actor for both Harvey Keitel and Ben Kingsley, Best Actor for Warren Beatty, Best Director for Barry Levinson, and Best Picture. It also won 2 awards, one of which Bening presented herself.
And the Oscar goes to Dennis Gassner for Bugsy.
It kind of baffles me to this day that Annette Bening did not get an Oscar nomination for Bugsy, given that she had been nominated just 1 year prior for The Grifters, and with Bugsy's strong performance, critically, with audiences, getting 10 Oscar nominations, you'd think Bening would have gotten in. However, Bette Midler, who won the Best Actress Golden Globe in the musical or comedy category for The Boys, took her slot at the Academy Awards. Bening's career took a slight pause for a couple years as she became a mother in 1992. Her first role after a 3-year gap reunited her with husband Beatty in the poorly received love affair, most notable for featuring the last appearance of Katharine Hepburn in a theatrical movie. Her first big comeback,
I hate that word, it's return.
Return, was in 1995, Bening appearing in a supporting role in the period drama Richard III, and in a leading role in one of my favorite films of that year, The American President. Starring Michael Douglas and directed by Rob Reiner, the film tells of a widowed U.S. president who falls in love with an environmental lobbyist.
You have asked me to join you in representing our country. I'm honored. I'm equal to the task. I won't let you down, sir.
Sydney, this is just dinner. We're not going to be doing espionage or anything.
Released in November 1995, The American President did well with critics and audiences and made more than $100 million worldwide, and thus I don't really understand why the film only managed a single Oscar nomination, Best Original Musical or Comedy Score. Like, seriously? That's it? The film was better received at the Golden Globes, receiving 5 nominations, including Best Screenplay, Best Director, Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, Best Actor for Douglas, and Best Actress for Bening. She lost that prize to Nicole Kidman for To Die For, but still, couldn't The American President have done a little better at the Oscars? I think it came down to the movie being too comedic and too wholesome for the Academy, but it should have at least gotten into the original screenplay category, and Bening, so magnetic throughout the film, would have made a wonderful Oscar nod for Best Actress, although the category that year, let's be honest, was stacked. I mean, so many people are huge fans of that movie to this day. Here's what Dave Franco said to Annette Bening on The Late Late Show.
I mean, my wife, she rewatches movies like no one I've ever met. The movie, though, that she loves, that we have watched more than any other movie in our household, is The American President.
Oh, it's a masterpiece.
And so...
It's a masterpiece.
Yes, we adore you. My wife is very jealous that I'm here with you.
She next appeared in Tim Burton's Mars Attacks and starred opposite Denzel Washington in The Siege. 1999 didn't start off well with the box office bomb In Dreams, co-starring Robert Downey Jr., but the year certainly ended well. If Annette Bening began the 1990s with a bang in The Grifters, she ended the decade with a bang too in one of her most moving, hilarious, indelible performances as Carolyn Burnham in American Beauty. The feature directorial debut of Sam Mendes, co-starring Kevin Spacey and Chris Cooper, American Beauty is a pitch-perfect comedic drama set in the heart of suburbia, Spacey playing a man in a midlife crisis, Bening a frustrated career woman who seems happy and sweet on the surface, but is emotionally damaged whenever the world isn't looking.
Shut up! Stop it, you weed, you baby! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Bening had been consistently good in the movies for more than a decade, but American Beauty showed us something new, something fresh and shocking and real. Each of her scenes is a masterclass of acting, every choice an excellent one, her balancing moments of comedy and drama always a delight to watch. She'd never played a role quite like this one before, and critics, audiences, and awards voters took notice. When American Beauty became a surprise blockbuster in the fall of 1999, it became an instant awards frontrunner. It all started at the Golden Globes, where American Beauty got 6 nods, including Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama for Spacey, and Best Actress for Bening. The film won Best Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Motion Picture Drama. Sadly, Bening lost at the Globes again, this time to Hilary Swank for Boys Don't Cry, but American Beauty continued building in momentum over the next few weeks, and finally, Bening won a major televised prize, the Screen Actors Guild Award for Female Actor in a Leading Role. So Hilary Swank got the Globe, but Bening won at SAG, and then a few weeks later, Bening won Best Actress at BAFTA too, with Boys Don't Cry pretty much only being recognized for the Swank performance, while American Beauty kept winning things left and right in a variety of categories. It looked likely Bening would get swept up in the American Beauty firestorm and walk away with her first Academy Award. The film received 8 Oscar nods total, including Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Picture. On the night of the 72nd Academy Awards, Bening's chances were looking very good as her film started collecting trophies: Best Cinematography for Conrad L. Hall and Best Original Screenplay for Alan Ball. The film won Best Director for Sam Mendes and Best Picture of the Year. Kevin Spacey lost the Golden Globe to Denzel Washington for The Hurricane, but he won the Oscar for Best Actor. Bening was going to pull the same trick too, right? She was going to win this thing, right? I mean, she even watched her husband Warren Beatty that night receive the Irving G. Thalberg Award. Come on, it was time for Annette Bening to be crowned Academy Award winner. Roberto Benigni, the previous year's Best Actor winner for Life is Beautiful, ran out on stage, said some things, and announced the Best Actress winner as
Hilary Swank in Boys Don't Cry.
Now, if you want even more on this Best Actress race, I highly recommend you check out a video made last year by yours truly. Hilary Swank defeats Annette Bening, Best Actress 2000, for all the ins and outs of why Bening lost this time around, which is made extra sad all these years later for 2 reasons. 1, it's by far the closest she ever came to winning an Academy Award, and 2, she would of course lose to Hilary Swank again 5 years later, but just wait, we'll get to that. For Best Actress at the 72nd Academy Awards, Bening was up against Swank, as well as Janet McTeer for Tumbleweeds, Julianne Moore for The End of the Affair, and Meryl Streep for Music of the Heart. Those other 3 actresses gave Bening zero competition. Swank was her only rival here. In a nutshell, I believe Bening lost in a very close race because she's absent for many stretches of time in American Beauty, especially in the 3rd act, while Swank is in nearly every scene of Boys Don't Cry. Many came to think of American Beauty as Kevin Spacey's movie, Bening a mere part of an ensemble who only gets to shine in the narrative here and there. I think you could make the argument Bening's role in American Beauty was a supporting one, a large supporting one to be sure, but if Jennifer Connelly and Viola Davis can win Best Supporting Actress Oscars for their performances in A Beautiful Mind and Fences, respectively, I think Bening could have gone supporting for American Beauty. Up against Angelina Jolie for Girl Interrupted, Bening probably would have swept the season. But in lead actress, the competition from Swank, who gives such a heart-wrenching performance in Boys Don't Cry, was too much for Bening to overcome. Thankfully, she didn't have to wait too much longer for Oscar nomination number 3. After appearing in the 2000 comedy failure What Planet Are You From and the warmly received 2003 Kevin Costner Western Open Range, she returned to the awards forefront with her dazzling tour de force performance in 2004's Being Julia, about a successful theater actress in 1930s London who becomes disillusioned with her career as she approaches middle age.
Stay exactly where you are. I haven't finished with you. Not remotely. I want to know, did he make a pass at you, or did you make a pass at him?
Co-starring Michael Gambon and Jeremy Irons, Being Julia got decent, but not great reviews, with critics mainly singling out Annette Bening's performance as one of her best. For example, Roger Moore in the Orlando Sentinel said, "It is Bening that's worth the price of admission," and Tom Long in Detroit News said, "The film isn't perfect, but Bening is." Okay, so Being Julia wasn't going to win the Oscar for Best Picture, but sometimes a great performance can sweep award season without the movie itself being recognized. Think Renee Zellweger in Judy, or Julianne Moore in Still Alice. By early 2005, Annette Bening was already overdue for an Oscar in a way, especially after she came so close to a win 5 years earlier for American Beauty. Being Julia earned Bening lots of critics' prizes, like from National Board of Review, and she earned her 4th Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress. In the comedy or musical category this time, Bening was up against Ashley Judd for DeLovely, Emmy Rossum for The Phantom of the Opera, Kate Winslet for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Renee Zellweger for Bridget Jones' The Edge of Reason. Although I'd say Winslet had a shot in taking this, Bening finally won a Golden Globe Award for Being Julia, and she gave a fantastic speech.
I want to dedicate this to my brother and my sister-in-law, Brad and Billy Bening. You're my heroes. Billy, thank you for becoming a part of our family and teaching us how much we love each other.
Bening was nominated for Best Actress at the Critics' Choice Awards and SAG Awards for being Julia, where she lost to someone I would make a guess Bening hasn't sent too many Christmas cards to throughout the years. Bening, as expected, received her third Academy Award nomination, being Julia's only nod, and in a different year, I do think she could have won. If Being Julia had opened in 2005 instead of 2004, Bening probably takes the Academy Award over Reese Witherspoon for Walk the Line, but no matter how painful and unfair it must have felt for Bening at the time, the film that dominated the 2005 award season was Clint Eastwood's $1 Million Baby, where Hilary Swank shines in a physically and emotionally demanding performance that goes to some very dark places. And despite her Oscar win in 2000 for Boys Don't Cry, voters were so clearly taken with her dramatic turn in $1 Million Baby that honestly, the biggest shocker that could have happened at the 77th Academy Awards would have been anyone but Hilary Swank winning Best Actress. Weirdly, she had it more in the bag that second go-around than she did the first time. If Academy members somehow had the ability to see the future, then yes, I think Annette Bening wins Best Actress for American Beauty, and then Hilary Swank wins Best Actress for $1 Million Baby, but that kind of crystal ball just doesn't exist, and sometimes you don't know if an actor's amazing performance might be their one and only. What's especially disappointing about how this all played out was that Bening was in the awards juggernaut American Beauty, and then was the only talent nominated in the top 8 categories who didn't go home with an Oscar, while Swank, only one of 2 nominees for Boys Don't Cry, netted the win. Cut to 5 years later, and the situation is now flipped. Bening is the only nominee for Being Julia, while Swank this time is in the awards juggernaut $1 Million Baby. But did Swank have to stay in her seat and watch everyone else who was a part of her film win an Oscar instead of her? Of course not! She got to go up there just like Morgan Freeman, just like Clint Eastwood, and in a terrific Best Actress category that year that also included Catalina Sandino Moreno for Maria Full of Grace, Imelda Staunton for Vera Drake, and Kate Winslet for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Bening had to look on and try to appear gracious in watching Hilary Swank beat her for a second time and collect another gold trophy. Thankfully, Bening wasn't about to slow down, next appearing in the 2006 HBO TV movie Mrs. Harris, no, not that one, just Mrs. Harris, opposite Ben Kingsley, the true life story of a cardiologist in the 1980s who was killed by his jilted lover. For her performance, Bening received her only Primetime Emmy Award nomination to date, losing to Helen Mirren for Elizabeth I. Bening got a second SAG Award nod for her performance too, and she got a nomination at the Golden Globes again, 2 nominations actually in early 2007, one for Mrs. Harris, and one for Running with Scissors, the ensemble Ryan Murphy comedy co-starring Gwyneth Paltrow and Alec Baldwin. Bening didn't have a chance of getting into the Oscar race for Running with Scissors, that movie mostly falling flat with critics and audiences, the Best Actress race in 2007, way too competitive, but her 4th Academy Award nomination was in her sights, and after her mostly ignored performances in The Women and Mother and Child, Annette Bening returned with a warm and funny, and at times devastating performance in The Kids Are All Right, about lesbian parents Nick and Jules, whose children want to meet their biological father.
Yeah, great. Yeah, go easy on the wine, hon. It's daytime. Okay. Same goes for the micromanaging. Okay.
Everything works in The Kids Are All Right, the breakout indie comedy hit of the summer of 2010, the film making $35 million on a $4 million budget. The writing is sharp and witty, the characters are grounded and complex, and the performances by the ensemble cast are spectacular, Bening and Julianne Moore making a beautiful, sensational on-screen pairing. The film hung on throughout the fall and winter and became, in a crowded field, one of the top awards contenders in early 2011, and Bening once again was singled out. She won Best Actress prizes from the New York Film Critics and London Film Critics, and she received her 7th Golden Globe Award nomination, The Kids Are All Right also getting into Best Screenplay, Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, and Best Actress in a Motion Picture Comedy or Musical for Julianne Moore. For a while there, it looked like Bening and Moore had a shot at becoming the first 2 people to be nominated for a Best Actress Oscar from the same movie since Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon for Thelma and Louise way back in 1992, but despite Moore also getting in at BAFTA, voters eventually settled on Bening, as the sole lead actress Oscar nominee from the film. The season started well for Bening when, up against Moore, as well as Anne Hathaway for Love and Other Drugs, Emma Stone for Easy A, and Angelina Jolie for The Tourist, WTF on that one, Robert Downey Jr. announced Bening as the Golden Globe Award winner for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, and once again she delivered a great speech. I especially love what she says at the end.
And to the 1962 winner of the Golden Globe for Most Promising Actor, my husband, Warren Beatty.
Bening continued getting nominated everywhere for The Kids Are All Right, Critics' Choice, SAG, BAFTA, Film Independent. At SAG, by the way, in early 2011, if you can believe it, there was yet another rematch between Annette Bening and Hilary Swank. Swank was nominated for her performance in Conviction, but yeah, Conviction went nowhere. Whereas The Kids Are All Right was doing extremely well that award season, winning Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical at the Golden Globes, getting into the Best Ensemble category at SAG, winning Best Screenplay at Film Independent, receiving 4 BAFTA Award nominations, and then eventually 4 Oscar nominations: Best Original Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor for Mark Ruffalo, Best Picture of the Year, and Best Actress for Bening. This time she was up against Nicole Kidman for Rabbit Hole, Jennifer Lawrence for Winter's Bone, Michelle Williams for Blue Valentine, and Natalie Portman for Black Swan. The Best Picture nod for The Kids Are All Right was key, something that could have helped Bening to a win, unlike 6 years prior when Being Julia was snubbed outside of her performance. But as I said at the beginning of this video, one of the most important keys to an Oscar win is good timing, and once again, Bening didn't have it. If The Kids Are All Right had been released in 2009 instead of 2010, maybe Bening wins Best Actress instead of Sandra Bullock for The Blind Side, but a year later, nobody had a shot in hell of beating Natalie Portman for her once-in-a-lifetime performance in Black Swan, especially after her film got into Best Picture and Best Director. Portman swept the season, not missing anywhere, and by Oscar night, her victory was already a foregone conclusion. In a recent video, I called Portman's win the best acting Oscar victory of the 2010s, so I'm not mad about it. But it was still really sad to see Annette Bening go home empty-handed a 4th time, given how talented she is and how consistent the quality of her work has been. So what did the rest of the 2010s have in store for Bening's career? Plenty more excellent roles, both lead and supporting, 2 of which got Bening close to a 5th Oscar nomination. She got a little lost there in underwhelming and little-seen indie films like The Face of Love and The Search. Her supporting performance in Ruby Sparks is a good one, and I like her turn in Danny Collins opposite Al Pacino, but her first widely acclaimed performance since The Kids Are All Right came in the exquisite 2016 comedy drama 20th Century Women, about a mother raising a teenage boy in 1979 Southern California.
Do you think you're happy? Seriously? You don't ask people questions like that.
You're my mom.
Especially your mom.
On paper, 20th Century Women looked to have everything it needed to ensure another Bening Oscar nod. Talented writer-director whose previous film won a Great Actor their first Oscar? Check. Fantastic ensemble cast, including Elle Fanning and Greta Gerwig? Check. World premiere at the New York Film Festival? Check. End of the year release date? Check. The 8th Golden Globe Award nomination for Annette Bening? Check. Many talk show hosts Bening appeared with in early 2017 made note of her Oscar buzz, starting with Ellen DeGeneres.
So let's talk about this movie that you will most likely be nominated for an Academy Award for.
And then Matt Lauer said something similar.
People are saying this is an Oscar-worthy performance and that you will probably get a nomination. You've been honored that way in the past. Would the honor mean a different thing to you or something else to you at this stage in your career?
If it happens, it's an incredible thrill. That's all I can tell you. It really is to be in that world. It feels pretty great.
Bening got a Best Actress nomination at Critics' Choice and at Film Independent, but sadly, that's where award season ended for her this time around. So what the hell happened? I think it was 2 things. 1, 20th Century Women just never broke out as a movie that many people were seeing or caring about. It only made $5 million nationwide before promptly disappearing, and although it did receive 1 Oscar nomination for Mike Mills in Best Original Screenplay, the film itself never gained much traction. The bigger thing I would argue was that maybe more than any other year in the past decade, the Best Actress category in early 2017 was stacked to the nth degree, so much that frickin' Amy Adams couldn't make it in for Arrival, a movie that received 8 nominations, including Best Director and Best Picture. If Adams couldn't get in, Annette Bening was never going to. And then 1 year later, Bening had a similar trajectory, a praised performance in a movie that not many people were seeing, the awkwardly titled 2017 drama, Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, about Hollywood actress Gloria Graham, who romances a much younger man, played by Jamie Bell.
Oh, so if I make you a drink, you come into my room and hustle with me? I need a partner for my dance class.
Bening is stunning in this film, completely inhabiting Gloria Graham, her energy and love and flaws and vulnerability. Reviews were strong, but after premiering at the Telluride and Toronto Film Festivals, the movie kind of went away and barely made a dent during the 2018 awards season, Bening shockingly missing at Golden Globes, her only major nomination for Best Actress appearing at BAFTA, where she lost to Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. In the last 5 years, Bening has remained very prolific, making mostly small indie films like Georgetown and Hope Gap, although she did play a supporting role in the blockbuster Captain Marvel, and she appeared in 2022's Death on the Nile opposite Kenneth Branagh. She returned to the Broadway stage in 2019 for All My Sons, which earned her a second Tony Award nomination for Best Actress in a Play. Also in 2019, she played Senator Dianne Feinstein in The Report, starring Adam Driver, that film earning Bening her 9th Golden Globe Award nomination, this time for Best Supporting Actress. She lost to Laura Dern for Marriage Story. Like with Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, The Report didn't really go anywhere, and outside of her receiving a couple Critics Award nominations, the 2020 awards season ended for Bening at the Globes. And so, here we are, 12 years since Bening's 4th and to date final Oscar nomination for The Kids Are All Right, and despite tremendous work in a variety of genres, the Oscar continues to elude her over and over and over again. But, hold on, all is not lost. There is Oscar possibility on the horizon, my friends, in a biographical sports drama called Nyad. Announced mere days ago to screen at this September's Toronto Film Festival, the movie tells the real-life story of Diana Nyad, a 64-year-old marathon swimmer who became the first person ever to swim all the way from Cuba to Florida. The film co-stars 2-time Oscar winner Jodie Foster, and Annette Bening plays Diana Nyad, the first still from the film recently released. Bening talked about the film briefly a few months ago on Good Morning America.
So having that opportunity to play Diana Nyad, who at 60, she had failed to swim from Cuba to Florida when she was in her late 20s. So then she decided to do it when she was 60. Wow. And everyone said, that's insane, you can't do that. How could you possibly think you would be able to swim that far? And she did it eventually. Yeah. She wrote a book about it, and she eventually did it. So that's what we made the movie about.
Look, I don't want to give you false hope. Not much is known about this movie. We're not going to know much of anything until it starts getting screened for critics. There's a rumor that Nyad might premiere at the Telluride Film Festival in early September. I am going to Telluride this year, and I might be one of the first people to see it. It sounds like a very awards-friendly movie. If Nyad is a strong film and Bening is bringing it in the title role, as we all know she's going to, I think Benning's looking at her 5th Oscar nomination and potentially her first win. She's already showing up on many of the 2024 Oscar prediction sites like Awards Watch, Awards Daily, and Next Best Picture. My fingers are tightly crossed, and yours should be too. Annette Bening is one of the greatest actors of her generation, a sublime talent who always gives 110%. After decades of losing one Oscar after another, especially that close call she had for American Beauty, Annette Bening's time for a glorious Gold Trophy win is coming, and with the upcoming Nyad, that time might be closer than we think. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, think about joining the Awards Contender on Patreon, where every month you get access to an exclusive video you can't watch here on YouTube, and you get to choose who's going to be the next subject for my Elusive Oscar video. In recent months, my patrons chose Michelle Pfeiffer, Winona Ryder, and yes, Annette Bening. Who should be next? Make your voice heard by clicking on the link in the description below. We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.